Anyone like whiskey?
Yeah.
Anyone like whiskey a lot? Yes! That's very well. Well, there's one man in Ireland, of course, who liked whiskey and beer a little too much, and his name was Seamus O'Malley. It's a typical Irish name. But Seamus O'Malley drank a lot. He drank so much that once St. Patrick's Day, thank you very much, once St. Patrick's Day, he consumed a whole barrel of ale, and 20 bottles of whiskey. Good Scotch whiskey, mind, none of that Irish pish. The Irish don't really drink Irish whiskies. And so he drank so much that he was staggering all over the place. And what's worse is he hadn't even drunk it on his own money. He spent all his friends' money. His friend Tim O'Leary. Tim O'Leary was a very kind friend, and he happily, helped out Seamus's habit because Seamus was generally a good friend to him. But Seamus, being a man of the sea, he just didn't really have that much money because at this time, fish stocks were going down, prices were going up, and no one wanted to buy fish. Whereas Tim O'Leary, he was a farmer. This was way before the famine. There was potatoes aplenty, turnips, everything you could want, and he could sell it for a top-notch price. He was sorted. So one day, hungover, about 3 days after, this day in fact, after St. Patrick's Day, Seamus was staggering home, terrible hangover. When he heard a what's that? He was walking past the harbour. So he peered over the harbour wall, and who was there? But a tiny little goblin with big feet, splish-splash-splashing in the water, big nose, big floppy ears. He looked up to him. "All right, Governor, how's it going?" Seamus looked puzzled. "Who are you?" "Oh, I'm just a goblin." "Just a goblin? Oh, I don't have time for this. I've got to go see my friend Tim O'Leary." "Oh, wait! That's me! I'm Tim O'Leary." "You are? You're a lot smaller than Tim. And you've got a lot bigger feet. And bigger everything, really. How did you get like that?" "Well, it's a funny story. I went to this witch's cave, see, and I heard she had a really big treasure, and I wanted the whole lot. So I went in, but I cut my feet on some magic rocks, and so now I'm here just trying to cool them off in the water here. Turned me into a goblin, see." "Really? That's what you've been doing these past 3 days?" "That's right." "That's terrible. I mean, what can I do?" "Well, there's only one way to turn me back into a human. You have to take every bit of that treasure and chuck it into the sea here." "And that'll turn you back? Like, really, it'll turn you back into a human being?" "I should do the trick." Seamus was a good friend, and he owed Tim big time. So off he went. He put on his big, stoutest boots he could, his big fisherman's wellies, and he set off into the cave. And there were indeed very many sharp rocks there, but he carefully picked his way around them, and they didn't so much as get through his big, heavy boots. And at the end of the cave, there were 3 doors. One made of wood, one made of metal, and one made of stone. Now which door is this treasure behind, he thought? And as he was thinking that, he heard another voice right behind him. "Ow!" Looked down, and there was a frog. "Oh, that's right, it's me. Expect you want to know where that treasure is, eh?" Yeah, that'd be really great. Will you help us out?" Only if you give us 1 red gem from amongst the lot of it." "Oh, I don't know I can really do that. I mean, you're just a frog. You don't need treasure, surely." No, I've got to chuck it all in the sea. If I don't chuck it in the sea, then my friend won't get turned back from a goblin. Tim O'Leary."
It's not Tim O'Leary. It's just a water sprite. He has to sit there with his feet in the water, so he can't leave the water properly. That's why he needs you to do this for him. Go on, just give us a gem and you can keep all the rest for yourself."
"Well, I don't know about that. I mean, he is my friend, and it'd be terrible if he had to spend the rest of his life as a goblin."
Go on, just 1 gem. I'm telling you, it's a lie.
No, I can't possibly do that. I couldn't betray that. I practically drank him out of house and home. Ah! Cried the frog, and turned into a horrible little black grubby goblin. Ah! I would have given you the world. Well, now you'll never get any of it. Behind one of these doors is a black hole that'll suck you in. And behind the other is a horrible monster with big teeth that'll eat you up. And behind the other one's the treasure, but you'll never know which one's which. Ah! And he disappeared in a foul-smelling smoke. What was Seamus to do? Well, he wasn't stupid, despite being a bit of a drunkard. So he went out of the cave and he got a good stout staff, cut it off a tree, took it back inside, and he smeared himself with mud from the entrance of the cave, covered himself all over until he was dripping and slimy and slippery. And he went to the first door, the wooden door. Carefully, he opened it up. And he was nearly sucked into that hole! A great big black hole, rocks and dirt and filth, and a frog went flying. But he had his stout staff and he put it against the door frame and he held on until eventually he was able to get the door closed shut tight. Then he was like, now, logically, they'd want me to go for that middle door next. But maybe not. Maybe that middle door. No, they'd be expecting that to be where the monster is. So I bet the monster's in that door at the end. So he went to the big stone door and he pushed with all his might. And inside was a chest. Oh, great, that was easy. He went. And the chest, opened it very carefully. And out popped a huge monster! And it rushed at him with his big clawed hands and it tried to grab him. But he was covered in mud and he slipped out of the grasp and ran out of the room, puffing and panting, and slammed the stone door. Just in the nick of time. That was a close one. Seamus went to the last door, the metal door, and he heaved it open. And there was another chest, a slightly simpler chest than the last one, not so tricksy. And he opened it up, and it was all the treasure you could imagine. Piles of gold and gems and euros and everything you could want. And he heaved it onto his back, because he was a strong fisherman. He had to heave in nets of fish all day, don't you know? And he hauled it out the cave, and he hauled it back to the harbour, and he hauled it onto his boat. Got into his boat, sailed out to sea. And who should he see paddling a little coracle in the middle of the ocean but Tim O'Leary himself, so he thought. Oh, so you got it there. That'd be great if you could just dip it in the water. You sure this will turn you back into a human? Sure as anything. Right. I just want to have one last look at it. Shining there. Oh, you sure I can't even just keep one bit? No, you gotta chuck it all in the water. Down went the treasure to the depths of the sea. And the goblin went up and leapt. Ah! I was never Tim O'Leary and he was never me! Ha! Jumped into the sea and disappeared, never to be seen by human eyes again. Seamus was broke. Nothing else to do. But he went, rushing. It's not a sad end to the story, honest. Got back to shore, and who should he see standing there on the dock to greet him but his old friend Tim O'Leary. He'd just been farming hard all day, you know, working for a living. And he was out to greet him and said, "Where have you been? Why don't you have any fish?" You'd never believe this story. It's true, honest. And he relayed the whole thing to him. And Tim O'Leary sat there. And he went, "Oh, and it was the best treasure ever, and I could have paid you back for all the other times, every time. And I had to chuck it all away. And I wasn't even... Oh. Never mind. The greatest treasure of all is friendship. And you've clearly been a true friend to me. So I'll be a true friend to you. Come on and I'll buy you a pint."